From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Steve Milton.
It's Sunday, May 12th, and happy Mother's Day. This is Ticats Today, and I'm Steve Milton. The Ticat veterans and those survivors of rookie camp hit the field at McMaster today, and there was a pretty good crowd on hand to kick off the long 2024 football season. Among the news emerging on this opening weekend was the official retirement announcement of all-time Ticat Ted Laurent. Now, you can read that announcement and my column on Laurent's remarkable career at defensive tackle on ticats.ca. On our news videos there, you can also see fellow defensive tackle Casey Sales describing what it was like to play with Ted, and sophomore quarterback Taylor Powell discussing how pleased he is to have signed a new contract extension, again announced today, and head coach Scott Milanovich repeating that Bo Levi Mitchell, who's been wearing a walking boot, will be on the field when full practices resume on Monday morning. Now, I'm pleased, but not nearly as pleased as Ticat Nation is, to welcome all-star wide receiver Tim White back to the city and to Ticats Today as the Ticats hit day one of training camp. Tim was a free agent, but re-signed in February. It was anxious times for Cats Crazies, but they could finally breathe out after, pretty well a month of worrying. Tim, of course, has been the Ticats' leading receiver the past couple of years, topping the entire CFL with 94 receptions 2 years ago for over 1,200 yards. Then last year, he had almost exactly the same number of yards, but on 19 fewer receptions. That's not only consistency, friends, but that's improvement. He also has returned kicks and carried the ball as a receiver, or as a running back. So I can't wait to see what he does next. Maybe he'll walk on water. This is an all-around athlete. So welcome, Tim. Tim, you came out of Arizona State as a dual sport athlete and made the NFL's Baltimore Ravens. First, I think it was on injury reserve, and then the practice roster. And finally, the active roster. You played in 3 games. After stints with the Jets and the Saints, you came north to Canada to sign with the Ticats. Why'd you come here?
It was just an opportunity for me. I contacted my agent. I wasn't really getting any looks from the NFL anymore, so I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to come up here and compete, for a spot, and came up here and just had a nice opportunity.
I would say you more than competed for a spot. This was an immediate impact, and I'll remind everybody that Tim had 770 yards receiving in the first year, but that's equivalent of more than 1,000 yards because it was the late season that year, because we started late because of the pandemic, and then 1,200 plus in each of the next 2. Where does that consistency come from?
I believe it really just comes from preparation every single day, just making sure that I'm in the right places at the right time, reading the coverages, and then when I get my opportunity, just making the opportunity, making the play, and then adding additional to whatever I can with that opportunity. And every time I get the ball, I look to score. I look to put the ball down the field to put us in the best position to put points on the board.
Do you find is the game slow down for? I mean, it's hard to say to a guy that can sprint faster than almost anybody in the world. Is it slowing down for you a little bit over the years, did it?
Absolutely. My first year, I came up here, there were a lot of good receivers, around me, and I just made the most of my opportunities. My second year, I feel like I really learned the most about myself, really just making tough plays and having those opportunities and those failures with those plays, and then just being able to go into an off season and really improve in those details and then come out and bring it to life. I feel like I took a large step going into last year.
For sure. I think you'd be the first to say that you had the odd drop there that you shouldn't have had, and you had them in practice. But those, particularly like in practice and in the games, really got limited last year, right?
Right, exactly. That was my main focus in the all season was to come up with the big plays, and it just so happened that I had maybe 24 fewer opportunities to do it, but I was able to make those plays when it counted, and it really showed out there on the field.
Yeah, deeper and also yak yards too.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're out in the open when you get them. So for people that don't know, yak is an acronym for yards after catch, and Tim excels at that. Now listen, Tim, later in the week you're going to be back with Ticats Today, and we're going to talk to you a lot this year, but you'll be with Luke Tasker, so you two guys can talk some insider football on that day about being receivers. So how about you and I switch tacks somewhat and help Ticat fans get to know you a bit better as a person. A lot of people might forget you went to, and I think you had to go to the College of Canyons in California, which is a junior college, before you went to Arizona State. Yeah. There you were a two-sport star. That's hard to say. Football, of course, but also triple jump. For your height, You have unbelievable vertical leap, and more than that, hang time. Does triple jump help with that?
Definitely. I didn't really start doing track and football until really my junior year of high school. I always thought I was a sprinter. And, I went out there, and one day they had the high jump pit out there, and I just decided that I was going to try the high jump in practice, and I eventually just jumped like 6'4" in that practice. And that was higher than majority of the jumpers that we had. So pretty much I was like, I might be a jumper. And I went out there, I tried long jump, and eventually, I led the league in both high jump and long jump. And then eventually my senior year, I became a triple jumper, because I was like, I'm leading the league in high jump and long jump. What the heck is triple jump? So I went out there and I tried it. I asked my coach to help me with the event. And right before the meet, I just, went out there and jumped. And from that point on, I was pretty much triple jumper was like my main specialty.
I'll remind people what triple jump is. It used to be called the hop, skip, and the jump, because the first one's a hop, and you land on the same leg, right, that you take off with.
Yeah.
Then you switch to the other leg as far as you can go, and then you use that, and it turns into a long jump at the end, right?
Exactly right.
Now, you did both sports for the Sun Devils as well, after heading to Arizona State. Tell me a little bit more about that. You almost made the Olympic team in 2020, right? How much did you miss by the length of
maybe a foot?
A foot.
Yeah, maybe a football. Yeah.
From going to the Olympics.
Right.
Was that, when you look back? I mean, it also brought you back up here, I guess, or at some point. Were you how did that fit into your life? And I understood you were going to try it maybe again this year too.
Right. So basically, that was during COVID year. That was the year after COVID year. So they were continuing to push the season back.
Right.
And I was training specifically for football to come up here and, make an impact with the team. And they said that they were going to push the season back one more time. So at that point, pretty much sometime in May, I called my coach up and I was like, look, let me go out there and compete, see where I'm at. I haven't jumped in about 5 years. So I was like, let me go out there and give it a shot. So we trained maybe about 8 practices, and then we had Olympic trials, and, I was able to place 5th. At the Olympic trials. They take the top 3, which goes on to the Olympics. But, I was able to PR. I was able to jump 54.5 out there in PR. So I was like, okay, I feel pretty good coming into the season. I know my athletic ability wasn't gone. So pretty much that's kind of just carried on into my season. And then this year, you asked, if I attempted it. Right now, I sit around, I would say probably 8th. I would say 8th right now, I believe. Things change. It's been 2 weeks since I last jumped, but right now I sit around 8th in the United States in the triple jump.
Do you fool around with it during the season, or is that too dangerous that you don't want to have anything happen?
Yeah, I don't really look at it as dangerous. I've been doing it a long time. As long as my body feels good, I feel like I have the capability to do it. Right now, I don't feel like I jumped my best, but, I feel good, and if it is an opportunity, then, I'll try to make the most of it and do it. But right now, I'm just focused on, being around the team, being around my teammates.
It's a very rhythmic event, too, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, there's a real rhythm to it. It's got to help
technique.
With technique, and football has got a lot to do with rhythm.
Absolutely. When the ball's in the air, and all the cuts that we make, that has to do with a lot of leg power, and pretty much all I'm doing is plyometric jumps, for my training anyway. So when I get out here and I'm around the defensive back, I'm able to elevate, and go up and get the ball at a high rate of speed and, be able to come down and land on my feet, which is pretty much why I'm able to get a lot of yards after the catch.
Switch to something here, and this is very sensitive, and I appreciate your willingness to talk about it as much as you feel like. We have talked about it before. But casual fans, and I'm going to have a little introduction to this, casual fans look at professional athletes, particularly in sports, that come through a college system and maybe think that perhaps it's a little bit easy, that the athletes have been pandered a little bit. You're always smiling, you're always looking ahead, you're always positive, but your entire life, I think, you've faced some hardships that most people don't know about. You and I have talked about this before, and you allowed me to write about it. You're the second youngest of 9 siblings and the youngest boy, and your dad, Tim Sr., played college at USC, and your mom, Darlene Edwards, moved around a bit, with you and the family when you were young. I wonder if you mind sharing a bit about growing up. There were some tough times there.
Absolutely. I feel like in life, you're faced with adversities, and a lot of adversity you don't control, but you don't sit there and make excuses. Growing up, I grew up in a large family, and there were just more challenging times, where there were times where we would, sleep in cars, where we were homeless. Sometimes we would have homes, and sometimes we were blessed enough to get, hotel rooms and things like that. But yeah, it was tough situations, that we had to deal with, and I'm just glad to be able to push through that adversity, as an adult and, make a change.
How were you able to become so good at two sports? You weren't in a place where you as you say, if you were living in your truck, you weren't able to necessarily be part of the local minor football association. How did this happen? How did you become so good?
Absolutely. I would have to give credit to God first, and then,
Right.
my parents, obviously being blessed, with my dad's genes. He entered USC as a quarterback, and eventually they moved him to wide receiver. He also played with, Charles White, a few Heisman Trophy guys, Marcus Allen and all those guys. So I had a lot of conversations with my father just about the game. I didn't have the opportunity to step out on the field, but it was always in me, and I always had a passion from a very young age. So I was just lucky enough to be around my older siblings who pushed me, who challenged me, sometimes bully because, they're older siblings, which made me tough. But it just allowed me to just step out there and be who I am.
When did you play your first organized football? I don't think I ever asked you that before.
Yeah. My first time playing organized football came my sophomore year of high school. It was late in the season because the first half of the season I was not eligible. So pretty much my grades were messed up, and I had to back out, of that
Not
situation.
surprisingly, though, given what you're going through in life, right?
Right. I didn't have the structure, at all, from a young age. But, my coach sat me there. He gave me the news. I cried like a little baby. And he said, you can sit here and make excuses, or you can get out there and do good in school and then get back and help our team late in the season. So that continued to push me to just continue to practice, help out wherever I could with the team, whether it was on the scout team, defense, offense, and just give them the best look that I possibly can. And then I had my opportunity. And I believe my first carry, I went like 60 yards, to the house at running back, though.
You make an immediate impression, it seems, wherever you go. You had that when you came up here, too. I think your first touchdown was on Labor Day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, of course, is the perfect time to do it. When you talked about people helping you out in your family and driving you hard and maybe being a little hard on you, one of those was your older brother, Elwood.
Yeah.
And you were close to him.
Yes.
And I think you told me once you thought he was faster than you and he was a good
Absolutely.
athlete and a boxer.
Yeah.
But when you were 17, he was so tragically killed in an altercation with San Diego police. Do you mind saying what happened there?
Yeah, he was shot and killed by the police. Very unfortunate situation. But, he really did give me the power. He gave me the strength, to just go out there and believe in myself, he really taught me what hard work was and dedication. He would always challenge me to go out after practice and take extra laps, miles around the track, and just put in the extra work. So I just continue to carry, that work ethic that he taught me into everything that I do. And he was a true blessing in my life, and all over, really.
So how do you stay so positive?
I would say, I stay so positive because I seen my parents struggle, but make the best of their situation every single day. So when I go through adversity, nothing looks as challenging as what they had to go through. I can't even imagine having 9 kids and really having to go through a struggle that they went through. So, when I see their struggles and I see mine, I'm like, there's no comparison. I can't complain.
Tim, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. We're going to talk a lot more on Ticats Today with you, as early as later this week, as I mentioned, with Luke Tasker. And I want to thank you for sharing all of this. I know Ticat fans are looking forward to another big season from you. I'm assuming you're looking forward to one from yourself.
Absolutely.
And thank you to the entire audience for listening and viewing. Our production team, and Tim too, I'm sure, appreciate you spending the time with us. Check out the episodes all week as we analyze firsthand what's going on at training camp, including how Tim White is doing. This is Ticats Today, and I'm Steve Milton.
Thank you for having me. Can't wait to see you guys.
This has been Ticats Today with Steve Milton. Catch it on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.